Welcome to the True Sky Crew podcast, where we share our cosmic pearls of wisdom. Why do we use True Sky Astrology? Because when we align with the true sky, we align with our true self. We're your hosts, Janine and Sashi. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and thank you guys for joining us live or on the replay. We are glad you are here.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Yes. We're going to discuss today some planner updates, our solstice meetup goodies, and listener questions from our group chats and other places. We're going to talk about all things Sagittarius. And then if anybody in the live chat has questions, we will answer those towards the end. So anybody who has Sagittarius-related questions, feel free to drop them in the chat at any time. You know, it would be really helpful if they were in all caps. I keep forgetting to mention that, but if you have live chat questions you would like us to address, please write them in all caps. It makes it much easier for us to see them. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about the energy like today, because it is a new moon today at time of recording. Earlier today there was a new moon, but how's everybody feeling with the new moon?
Happy new moon, everybody.
It's it seems like it should be a pretty status quo lunar cycle, you know, new moon in Taurus. That sounds nice, but it's aligned with fixed star Rigel. So it's actually, it feels like these shapeshifter type templates. It's like material things that want to change shape. So I feel like we have a big opportunity to clear up some of those kinds of lower vibe templates. Rigel's not known for its sunshine and rainbows. We'll put it that way.
That's true. And it's more like recoding it by throwing some sunshine and rainbows on it.
Yeah, we're here to bring that Taurus love.
The true Taurus, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of energy. So it does feel like somatically, definitely take care of the body this month. Be mindful of your energy. Protect your astrals like a boss.
Mm-hmm. And take care of your physical vessel for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't stress, like, well, that's probably not the right choice of words. Focus on rest and how you feel in the moment and making sure that you're giving the body functioning priority, right? Do I need to move? Do I need to rest? What do I need to do? So I feel like it will come through that route. A lot of the recoding can be done through how you respect your physical vessel.
Yes.
I think it's going to be an interesting month.
I think so too. Yeah, I feel a lot of shifts in material reality, a lot of luxury codes coming online. So I'm really enjoying I'm enjoying the upgrades.
Yeah, there's definitely upgrades available. Like, I know I've been recoding through Shapeshifter template for a long time, so I feel like I'm going to be flying high through this transit. And it's just like, oh, let's go to sleep and see what's going to happen in the dream space today. So that's kind of my priority this month, is get enough rest. And let the good times roll.
Exactly. Yep.
So how you guys feeling in the chats with this new moon?
Yeah, let us know.
Energy was so lovely from 6-4. Yes, it really was.
That was one of the power days that we picked out in our June transit episode, and I agree, 6-4 was lovely.
It was all the heart fireworks. Like, that was such a perfect story to post in our stories. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the vibe from yesterday, is just like heart fireworks. And it was really lovely on the 4th.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of heart chakra openings and bloomings, so I'm very thankful for that. A lot of rose activations for me.
Yeah, I've been feeling those too. Like, something will clear out of my energy. And like yesterday, something cleared out of my liver channel. Like, I could feel it moving out of my toe, my big toe on both sides. And I felt so tall. Like all of a
Ah,
sudden, it's just like, I was like, oh, wow, I feel really, really tall right now. That's such an interesting sensation.
cool.
So I don't know what that kind of activation is like, but it was really neat.
That is really cool. It's like
And it,
spatial repositioning
yeah,
or like
spatial
spatial perception.
growing or
Hmm.
fitting more of the higher self into the body kind of thing. Like, oh, I think I just grew a whole dimension.
Awesome.
So that's fun.
Hmm.
So, yes, good times, yummy naps. That sounds great.
Hmm.
Good, good, good. Glad y'all are in here. Welcome, welcome, everybody in the chat. All right, milady, would you like to talk about daily planner updates?
Yes. So, daily planner updates. If you don't already know, you can get the daily planner and the calendar stuff if you go to sachitheseer.com and go to True Sky Astrology Tools. Did I click on that? Okay, there we go. And we have July available. Okay, I need to change that. It says June only. Okay. Um, so we have July available now for purchase. I will definitely switch the cover page. So I didn't catch that before. And if you didn't already get your June calendar page or daily planner pages, these are still available for download. And of course, all months prior. We do have the full year of the calendar available PDF and wall calendar. And then we have the daily planner PDF for the full year. If you've already purchased the full year planner, you can expect July's pages in your email within the next 24 hours. And if you haven't gotten July's pages already, then now you can get them in the shop. And we also have our Summer Solstice meetup at Serpent Mound. So come hang out with us at Serpent Mound, y'all. We are going to be doing some grid work there, going to have tons of fun. It includes, you can go on the website and view it all the goodies. We have goodie bags. You'll get a chart analysis by Janine and I. Breakfast is provided every day. We're doing a farewell dinner. Of course, we'll be doing some stargazing and lots of good stuff. And then, of course, there is a festival at Serpent Mound. So 4 days of amazing activities, speeches, musicians, storytellers, lots of really cool stuff. So if you want to check that out, all the details are on the page. And there are some different sleeping arrangements available. So come hang out with us and we're gonna have a grand old time.
Yes, we are. I have a feeling we're going to be getting some grid work on for this.
Oh
So,
yeah.
grid workers unite,
Uh-huh.
clearing planetary false Kundalini serpents. So let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Realigning all those delightful solar codes and things like that. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. And, before we got on live, I was like, oh my gosh, Sashi, our next episode is going to be at the cabin at Serpent Mound. Like
Yes,
it
yep.
has arrived.
Yes, it's so close. And if you join us at Serpent Mound, you will be part of the episode as well. So we will all sit together and chit chat about solstice. And of course, we'll address what solstice is, and that will be our special topic, but we'll also see just how the conversation flows and how it goes. So that's going to be super, super exciting. Our second special topic episode.
Yes, session. Well, that's a tongue twister. Second special episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Good times. All right. Listener question time. We do have a listener question this week.
Yes,
That
we
was a
do.
great one. It's
Mm-hmm.
perfect timing since it's the new moon. The question was about moon things. So thank you for this question. Great timing. It says, hi, I would love to hear you elaborate on the effects of the moon overlays, the moon overlays have on the nodes and how you would navigate it. I've been searching for this information for a while and I've only seen you guys mention it in passing. Much love and thank you for all the beautiful work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I think this person's North Node. was conjunct their descendant. That's an interesting spot for North Node.
Yes, it is.
So the first thing that is an interesting question because the moon and the nodes are not unlike each other. I mean, the nodes are the intersection of the ecliptic and the moon's orbit. So the path of the sun and the path of the moon. So one is considered an ascending node, it's the north node, because as it's rotating, it's moving above. I forget what it's moving above. One of the significant, is it the horizon line? No, is it the ecliptic itself?
The ecliptic.
Okay. So it's moving above. And the other one, I guess, would be the moon's trajectory descending below the ecliptic. So they're called the head and the tail of the dragon, basically. And yeah,
and remember, these are calculated positions. They are not
not
heavenly bodies, right? They're not celestial bodies. They're calculated points.
So it's a conceptual understanding of the intersection of the moon's plane and the Earth's plane. So they kind of represent egress either into or out of, depending on which side you're talking about, to the Earth matrix. It's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of like the eggshell energetically that the moon makes around the Earth. And those are kind of like ingress or egress points. So you can come in. Isn't the South Node like the gate of, maybe I'm mixing up something in Orion. I think I am. But they talk about getting in or out, but either way, they're in opposition. So they both have to be integrated. But it's really about getting through the lunar matrix. So yeah, I think the conjunction was the moon was conjunct the North Node in Pisces, is to what this question was. And it's basically like with the North Node energy, it's more life path, things you need to have experiences of, you're moving into more. And it's like recode through that lunar matrix, like go time. The moon moves so fast, it's not like it's going to sit there for days or weeks. It's like an hour or two that you'll kind of get that ping. But yeah, it feels like lunar clearing type work.
It is, yeah. So, moon overlay, the moon naturally has overlays over the nodes because the nodes are calculated points based on moon positioning. In terms of the moon's like influence, the way that I understand it is because the moon represents the emotional matrices that exist, including how your own emotional body is programmed and functioning. That is also how you can calibrate your own north and south node. So when you are doing more south node stuff, for example, you are in lunar programs of comfort and normality and sort of autopilot things. And that's good and bad, right? I always say south node is your karmic gifts and your karmic gunk. Whereas north node is your it's soul path and life purpose things because it pushes you out of your comfort zone. And so if you need to change or you want to continue to expand your consciousness, because North Node represents things that in this lifetime are new for your soul. So it will feel very uncomfortable. It forces you to go out of your comfort zone. And so North Node is what you'd want to work with to continue your life path, to continue your soul mission, which is to continue to expand, which it's perfect that we're talking about Sagittarius, which is so expansive. And so how the moon plays into that is because you will have to work through uncomfortable emotions as you go through North Node activations because, our mind, body, spirit, when new things come, it's typically perceived as a threat, right? It's like so many people think they're anxious, but really it's excitement. And so that's kind of how to reprogram a lot of the North Node stuff. And the moon is basically just an emotional sounding board, basically, of how far you can go. It's like the capacity of your own emotional body to move through discomfort, move through potential fear or whatever it may be, and, you know, harmonize your emotional body as you step into new energy. It is like you have to do emotional work.
With that kind of conjunction. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to ping up something from the emotional body to process through. And when you know, the sun and moon together, like the power of an eclipse, that kind of thing, even though the node is just a conceptual thing, it still holds the power of like an eclipse because it's the sun and moon crossing points. And when the node conjuncts a new moon, that's what happens. So you got to remember that the node holds the power of an eclipse. So it's radical transformation. Now, if it's the south node, it's more like going to dredge up stuff from a past life kind of thing, but you can also go recover awesome things. This particular question was in reference to the moon conjuncting the north node, which is like, it is going to push you into something emotionally uncomfortable to calibrate through, like a dragon, right? Like you step into your dragonhood, your integrated solar self, by moving through lunar matrix things. So breaking out of that moon egg, so to speak. So they're powerful, even though they're fleeting, because Moon Musaf has powerful little activation window. So it's always fun to watch what the moon is transiting as far as fixed stars and alignments, conjunctions, noting where it is on its trajectory, because it's not the same trajectory as the sun as far as its orbit. It at the maximum separation of the two orbits, it's like 5 degrees and some change. So it's really important when you're looking at new moons too to see how far away it is from the sun. They act more like an alignment than a conjunction if you look at a sky app. So there's a lot of interesting things to note with the moon, but I feel like the north node, this was a great question for north node stuff. So really big opportunity to step into a layer of your solar self for sure. Ride that dragon.
Yes. Yep. And dragon energy is used to clear a lot of density. And that's the thing, is your south node can help clear dense energy from the past, and your north node helps you move into dense energy with ease.
Yeah. Well, hopefully with ease. Some lunar matrix stuff is not comfortable any which way you slice it.
That is
it's
true.
Not guaranteed to be easy.
It's right. If you're working with your north node properly, it becomes easier. Yeah. It's
you
like
can
the
identify
dragon
it
does
from
for
10
you, basically.
paces. Right. You're just like, oh, I see that. I know how to deal with that. And you start addressing them, those kind of transits, differently.
Yep.
I feel like when you get good at it, like you just feel it. You just feel it. Like sometimes that moon stuff, you'll just feel it in the body too, because it's water. It's connected to water energy.
Yeah.
So you might feel it somatically in your water. So fantastic question.
Indeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, let's talk about some fire.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about some Sagittarius fire.
Sag.
Right on. Okay, so Sagittarius, true Sagittarius energy based on the fixed star alignments is from December 22nd. And it's kind of an overnight thing. It's like 22nd, 23rd to January 14th, 15th. Kind of happens overnight. So it depends on where you're at on the planet. So it is a 23.5 degree. The sign is 23.5 degrees. It really, Sagittarius has many different emanations of its asterisms. So you do have to figure out which asterism pattern you resonate with, I guess. For this, I've used the HA ray system, which the guy actually looks like somebody holding a bow and arrow. So that's just an interesting note. Some of the other asterisms, Sagittarius looks like a teapot, and and another one, it just doesn't look like much of anything. Some random dots with some random lines, all kind of spread out. So that would be interesting to go look on a sky app, and if you have different asterism patterns, to toggle between the different systems to check that out for yourself. But we have used the HA ray system for these notes, just FYI. It is a mutable fire sign, so very much connected to inspiration and changing of that fire element. It really wants to recode through creative inspiration. The houses, depending on if you use a 12 house system or a 13 house system, for the 12 house system, it's a 9th house. For the 13 house system, the 10th house. So the 13 house system gives Scorpio and Ophiuchus both a house, just so everybody knows. And where else have we talked about that? It was probably
We
in the
talked about
Scorpio
it
Ophiuchus
in,
episode.
yeah, which was our last, well, 2 episodes ago, but our last sign episode.
Yeah. And we will do an episode on the house system, so we'll talk about it there too in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It is a yang polarity, so an electric energy bringing masculine type change. It wants to make change. It wants to do stuff. Sagittarius wants to go do stuff.
That is true.
And
That
ruled
is
by
very
Jupiter,
true.
one of the one of the biggest and most benevolent planets in our solar system. He's really a protector. He helps protect us from all the asteroids in the asteroid belt,
Mm-hmm.
and is a helpful guy. He's a really helpful guy.
Yes, he is.
So Sagittarius is just super fun energy. I just
It
like
is.
Sagittarius energy.
It is. Sag has always been my favorite sign.
Yeah, it's hard not to like Sag. He's
It's
just a
true.
jovial placement. Okay, we ready to go to the next?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, the symbols, bow and arrow. That's kind of the obvious one. The bow and arrow being things that are like focused and pointed, but also fast moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his arrow technically points straight towards galactic center. So it's interesting to note that he is facing back towards the Milky Way and focusing us on galactic center, pointing at an important area in our sky, which really just looks kind of like a black spot on a sky app. You wouldn't know it was there unless Sagittarius was like, hey, let's go check this out over here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like, that's the target.
That's where we're going.
That is the target. Uh-huh.
So he's also known as the archer. He's a centaur. Some of the more interesting interpretations, probably like a spirit animal, would be like a wild horse, and also associated with the symbol of a teapot, because hot water makes very fine tea, takes fire to make hot water. So many good conversations had over a nice cup of tea.
And Sagittarius definitely can spill the tea. You know, some
Yeah.
Sagittariuses are short and stout, and you will hear them shout.
The phrase, we kind of have done a mini recode, and because I think a lot of times the phrase or the keyword is considered I believe for Sagittarius, but I think there's some consciousness traps in that statement. So we chose I perceive. It's kind of like a witness consciousness that has a higher understanding of big picture things, and it can just watch how things sort of roll out. It's always observing. It's always in this observer state. So
it's true. Sagittarius really controls the perception aspect of mental processing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's important to distinguish from the what's on the other side of the chart. For some reason, I wanted to go to Gemini, but that's mutable. Yeah. Well, is it mutable?
It is, mutable air.
Okay, mutable air. Yeah, so it's the counterpart. So it's the data. Gemini is like the data. Sagittarius is like the bigger understanding of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when you get the two together in a chart, it's like metadata extraordinaire. So you do the nuts and bolts and you understand the big picture. And that is a fascinating combination. So if you have planets in Sag, check on the other side of the chart what's on the other side of the chart, even if it's just a fixed star. If you have a planet in opposition, like you're kind of doing this interesting metadata integration, depending, the overtone of that, depending on what planets are parked there. So that is a fascinating placement. Yes. A lot of wisdom keepers come through Sagittarius placements.
Absolutely.
People who can access like galactic histories, and they just know things. And sometimes they don't know how to know things.
Yeah.
But they're here to hold the remembrance of those reality streams and witness this reality stream. So interesting place. Some of the body areas: thighs, upper legs, which basically is the same thing, hips, and liver, because the liver is the biggest organ in the body. So of course it has to be associated with Jupiter.
Technically skin, but internal organ. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, liver is like the master in acupuncture. Liver is the master organ. Like it cleans everything, not only the skin, it cleans everything. It filters everything. So liver emotions are really, really important to address with Sagittarius, which can be frustration, anger, resentment, things that make you mad, that spark of fire that doesn't have a proper channel. Yep. Will get directed at you if you're not careful.
Oh yeah, anger gets stored in the liver.
Yeah. So I feel like that's why it's definitely, this one's connected with Sagittarius energy. And when you activate your liver, clear out liver stuck emotions appropriately, like just amazing things start happening in your body, clearing out the stuck emotions. So it kind of helps to integrate the whole system of energy in the body. So yeah. And they are known for having very strong legs. So they can do all that adventuring and hiking and tromping around doing things.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to throw in for that?
Nope. Thick thighs save lives. That's that Sagittarius goodness.
Yeah. Archetype of the adventurer, the gypsy, the philosopher, idealist, tends to be very creative and inventive. And I can see this sign as also a storyteller, like passing down histories through oral traditions, or weaving new stories to recode things, but using that in a creative way, using your words creatively to weave tales.
Yes.
Kind of like probably the people that coded the sky left us all kinds of messages about archetypes and psychology and processing things and that kind of creative storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, I would also consider Sagittarius the historian.
Yeah, I feel like they
a lot
do
of it
a lot of that.
Perception based, right? It's like a specific account of a certain timeline. Yeah. And I find a lot of people with Sagittarius placements are really interested in history and typically have a knack for remembering historical events, and kind of like how Gemini knows a bunch of stuff about random things. Like, I always say they're the best to go to trivia with. Sagittarius is very similar. Usually picking like quite a few like niche topics, but most Sages know history pretty well.
Yeah, they'll be able to connect dots on things that somebody zoomed in on the data wouldn't see either.
Yes.
So they'll weave you a story based on a bigger picture understanding of something. That's why I call them the wisdom keepers. It's like a historian. It's the same thing as a historian, except they're coming from a place of like, I know what's really going on here. How can I tell something in a way that's relatable to others, that it will be remembered? They'll pass it down, and eventually, maybe 8,000 years later, they'll get it.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Uh-huh.
it'll click. Because they're kind of ahead of their time like that, being able to see a broader picture of things going on. So, characteristics: the high vibe, Sag, open minded, expansive, independent, explorative, and thought provoking. And then the shadow can be dogmatic, directionless, loose lipped, prone to exaggeration, and just downright unrelatable. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
their stories don't make sense. And that can be a challenge because they might have really viable information to convey, but if you can't make it relatable, nobody's going to listen.
Exactly. If the message you have to say, if no one can comprehend it, then you're actually not getting your message out to anyone. And because Sagittarius is so expansive, the point is to, broaden your own mind and help broaden other people's mind as well. But, if they don't understand the nomenclature, if the information is too highbrow, if, the way the wisdom is shared is somehow intellectually gate kept, then, there's no it's not reaching an audience, right? It's not making the impact that Sagittarius energy is
Mm-hmm.
meant to make because it is the traveler. It's supposed to reach far and wide.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like it's more of a Leo quality, but I feel like some Sagittarius, because it's a fire sign, can fall into ego traps, like guru traps, especially with Sag.
Definitely. That's part of the
Um,
dogmatic aspect.
yeah.
Definitely like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, guru, even cult
Yeah.
type
Oh,
stuff,
yeah. Yeah.
especially when there's like Sag Cap stuff together. Oof, that
Yeah.
can be very culty.
Yeah, that can get really stuck. So I know some people who've written books and are very intellectual and lofty, and like their conceptual understanding of things is amazing, but I can't stand listening to them because the ego on this one particular person that I'm thinking of who is a public figure, I'm just like, I can't listen to you. Like there's just too much
It's
stuff in the way. Yeah.
Another kind of archetype, or maybe not archetype, but symbol. I always see like Sagittarius as someone standing at the podium, which can be like, a professor that's giving, information to pupils, but it can also be some nut job spewing who knows what,
Yeah. Yeah.
to a group of people.
Yeah, watch out for that. But they weave a very convincing story, so and that's where you fall into the
Yes.
cult stuff. Like they can be
Hmm.
very charismatic and convincing, and
Yes.
you just really got to do the Gemini thing on the other side of the chart and check your facts.
Exactly.
Like,
And
does it all add up?
that's where that prone to exaggeration energy comes in as well. Because, they're really able to manipulate people with sometimes things that are not true, just simply are not true. And that's part of the Jupiterian influence of Sagittarius because Jupiter
Mm-hmm.
makes larger anything it touches. And while, maybe for some men having Jupiter in the eighth house is a great thing, typically when it comes typically, or maybe even having, Jupiter in 10th house in the 12th house system or 11th house in the 13th, and just having, or second house, even just, a lot of material wealth and things. But when it comes to getting an ideal across, exaggerating things are just, it's like, oh, I've helped like 10 people do whatever. Sagittarius on the low vibe will be like, I've helped millions of people, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, like, is that actually possible? Can you reach millions of people right now?
Right. Technically, yes, if you have a big enough Instagram or YouTube
It's
account,
true. Yeah, you can.
but they'll take all the credit for the whole thing. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
hear you. Or on the flip side of that polarity, the ego polarity is like they just are out to promote the. Well, it's not completely on the. I'm thinking of it in a way that's not in the public eye. They tell a bunch of stories, quote unquote, stories
Mm-hmm.
to um, get themselves jockeyed into a better position in their own life. Like they will weave some stories to get where they want to go. It's all about them in this sort of sneaky, underhanded kind of way where it's like, well, it wasn't a lie, but it's definitely not helping anybody except themselves.
Yes.
They will throw people under the bus very sneakily. You have to watch it sometimes to get ahead for themselves. So those are some of the shadow aspects. Even if they're doing some of the shadow aspects, what makes it so hard with Sag to be able to discern which end they're coming from is they have fun doing no matter which way they're working it. Like you just are like, you don't know until you've already been hornswoggled kind of thing. So it does pay to do the fact checking, or just check in with your own energy and be like, body, how do you feel about this? Because you're really getting carried away in this person's story or whatever, and you just have to go reel it in for a second. Do I really want to get in the car with this guy and go out to Arizona? That kind of stuff.
Right. And that's, part of the directionless aspect as well of like, the high vibe of Sag is, an explorer. They love to explore. They have wanderlust. And that can be whether, you're actually traveling the world. That's definitely a Sag thing. But it can also be traveling vicariously through television programs, books, astral travel. There's a lot of different ways to sort of expand how you are experiencing this earth. But there's a difference between like, yeah, I'm on the journey of life and I'm going to continue galloping on my path and explore versus the directionless aspect of like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. What's the point of it all? And then that's when you can get taken advantage of people starting to direct you on where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. You get convinced that you need to do this thing over here and put all your energy into that instead of knowing yourself.
Exactly.
And I feel very strongly because of the fixed star alignments through here, Sagittarius, as you evolve through the Sagittarius archetype, astral traveling is definitely a skill set that comes with placements in Sag.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of what you're good at. So I think Sag is such a fun energy to work with. It's like, you want to activate your Sagittarius placements, go travel outside your state, like go on a multi-state road trip, go to a different country. It's going to activate your Jupiter.
Come to Serpent Mound.
Come to Serpent Mound.
I guarantee you'll
get activated at Serpent Mound.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's those kinds of things that it makes it fun to work with Sagittarius energy. You can start at a scale that works for you. That's really important. At a price point that works for you. Like, I love to go camping, not only because it's like I love going out in nature and doing things out in the woods, not in a city. It feels energetically cleaner, but it's also affordable. So
yes.
You don't have to go Jupiterian full scale, 5-star hotels. You can. That is one way to do it, but you can do it at any price point. Like, price point is not the focus of Sag. It's get out there and get your feet moving across the planet.
And that's part of, Sagittarius, we have idealistic here, but I would even say optimistic. They typically always have a positive mindset. And that's the thing. They could have $5 in their pocket and they're like, I know that I'm going to get this $10,000 opportunity. It's going to be handed to me. And it's, because Jupiter rules over abundance, like the vibration of abundance, of getting into that frequency, and also luck. And those are two things that you have to be optimistic about. You have to be embodying and believing and perceiving that you are lucky and abundant, and things just work out for Sag. Really.
Yeah, they really do. They really do.
It's such a the path of least resistance typically. It's just like, okay, that was easy. Yeah, things just work out for me.
Yeah. Because at this higher level, like they're part of the energy, or that planet's energy understands like the higher dimensional template of what's going on when it's cruising through this energy. Because remember, it's Aquila alignments come through here. The Milky Way is like right next door to Sag. So it's receiving a lot of that kind of other dimensional energy. So it does make it easy for whatever planets are cruising through here to just be like, oh yeah, let's go do that thing. Let's go try this. Hey, I hit a dead end over here. That's fine. Let's go this way. They just will flip a coin and go a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And it will work
Exactly.
out.
Very adaptable. And that's the mutable
Mm-hmm.
aspect of the fire. They
Yeah.
have this fiery passion, but they're so easy to just be like, okay, new direction. Okay, new direction.
Yeah. You got to watch out that doesn't happen too much. Like that's the
That's true.
directionless
That's the
part of the
direction.
shadow where you're not
Exactly.
feeling pulled in too many directions. You do have to connect with the bigger picture of what you're doing. And then, like the archer, like focus on it and then go that way. And then that way will lead you to the next thing. Right. And you just keep doing that until the full picture materializes and you're like, oh my gosh, well, wasn't that amazing? And it's just like it just kind of happens.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When they're in the flow. They're really good at being in the flow.
Yes.
Super fun and playful energy. I love, love, love this. I
Yes.
think it's probably my favorite fire sign.
I think it's my favorite sign overall, honestly. But my Venus is in Sag, so it makes sense. I'm supposed to love Sagittarius energy. That's how I work with my Venus. So
Man, that's a great place for Venus too.
it
So
is.
fun.
Wow.
So
Yes.
fun.
Let me tell you, I've had a great, great love life for the most part, great travel life. Yeah, I love Sagittarius Venus, especially because on the tropical algorithm, I thought I had a Capricorn Venus, and that was just poo poo compared to Sag Venus. Ever since I
Yeah.
realized I have a Sag Venus, wow, I've had so much more fun, so much better luck in love and romance, and just loving my life and exploring. Yeah, I've been very thankful.
Yeah. I don't have any placements in Sag, which is kind of interesting. But I think there's a lot of other upbeat, optimistic. Like I have so many things connected to Venus through Libra.
Hmm. Plus,
Where
you
it's
love
just like,
Jupiter.
where is my Jupiter? Jupiter's in Aquarius. My Jupiter's in Aquarius.
That is a fun, funky placement.
That I think that is definitely where I get my weird upbeatness from. Where it's just like,
I love it.
you just can't get me down. It's like it'll all be fine.
Hmm.
It'll be weird and it'll be fine,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah, I love that about
So
you.
it's definitely that's air energy, which goes right along with my Sun and my Venus, both in Libra, like air signs. So,
Hmm.
but I do feel a lot of the creativeness through Venus. I think so. It is a different energy than Sag. I'm trying to think of like how that would be different. Well, it's cardinal. I tend to start a lot of projects. Hmm. And Sag kind of, I don't know, that mutable fire, it always wants to change stuff. It
It
always wants
does.
to change stuff.
It does. But it feels kind of like they're continuously moving on the path, and like the thing that's changing is like them along the journey rather than
That's true. That's true.
it's like that's part of their mind constantly expanding, their perceptions constantly changing, and
Yeah.
it's like I wouldn't say Sagittarius energy is the best for trying to, well, I guess that's not necessarily true either. Um, I was gonna say on long-term project, but that's not true because Sagittarius knows how to do long-term projects and enjoy the journey during it. Like as the sign that rules academia and higher education, like
Hmm.
Sagittarius is the PhD.
Yeah. The journey is the destination.
Yeah.
That's such a Sag
Or
thing.
the destination is the journey, right? Or wait.
It's the
Journey.
same.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Uh-huh.
Either way, it's the same.
Yeah.
You're
Uh-huh.
here to enjoy the ride,
Exactly.
and that they do.
Yes, indeed.
That they do. Let's see if we have any comments in here about Saggy Sag. Yes, I am actually known for my strong legs, says Melody. She must have some Sag placements.
Oh yeah, me too. I have very strong legs and I always get comments on them.
American Copper Dragon Chile says, yeah, I'm a Venus and Sag too. So
Awesome.
Venus and Sag people in the house. That's such a fun placement.
It is.
That divine feminine just feels free to just go with the flow.
It's fun loving. You know, that's how I'll describe it. Like
Yeah.
straight up fun loving.
Yeah. When you throw Jupiter ruled signs in the mix, like it's just kind of what happens. Alrighty. Constellation entry and exit dates for Sag. So from our Scorpius Ophiuchus episode, we did talk a little bit about the Ophiuchus Sag void. It's about 1.5 degrees. So that's only like a day and a half from December 21st, the December solstice, to the 22nd, which that's just really interesting timing. So that's a very short void space between Ophiuchus and Sag. And then True Sky Sag is about 23.5 degrees. It's almost 24, but not quite. From December 22nd to January 14th. And again, when I mentioned in the beginning, this kind of happens overnight in Eastern Standard Time. So it's 22nd or 23rd, depending on what time zone you're in, and 14th or 15th, depending on what time zone you're in. So that's about 23.5 days. The sun enters true Sagittarius with an alignment to Nash at the beginning of the sign and exits at Theta 1 Sagittarius. And again, that is using the HA ray system of asterisms. Oh, look, yours. I wonder what system it's using on Sky Safari, because that does look like.
I searched Nash and
okay, yeah, that's it. It's also called Al Nazal, which somebody messaged me a while back that means something in Arabic. And I can't remember what it means. I'll have to ask. Yeah, I'll have to go look that up again. But it was eye-opening, the translation. I think it was like the blood lineage or something like that. It's AL space nasal, like all nasal or something like that, pronounced correctly. Kind of like how Aldebaran is Aldebaran. It's like that kind of thing. So, and I thought that was fascinating because it was like, oh yeah, it's kind of close to the galactic center and close to Cos Australis, and like kind of clearing out some blood lineage things through there. Interesting reference. So yeah, exits at Theta 1 Sagittarius. That star does not have a name technically, but it's down in my asterisms. Yes, down there by the
this
foot.
one.
Yeah, that's it. Theta 1 Sag. So that's the one that I've been using to do these calculations. If you just use like the classic asterisms, like Sagittarius is actually really small. Like it's only the size of the teapot. And then the void is humongous. So since that's classified as a Sagittarius star, technically, I went ahead and used it.
We got to take the thighs into consideration.
That's right.
You can't ignore the legs. You can't ignore those legs.
Important. And then the Sagittarius Capricornus void is a large void space, even if you use Theta 1 Sag as the exit star alignment. It's a 9-degree void from Theta 1 to the beginning of, I can't remember what the star is at the beginning of Capricorn I use. It's, yeah, Dobby. I think it's that one, Dobby. Oh my gosh, that's like the dream that we were talking about earlier. Dobby, Masters presented Dobby with a sock. Anyway, sidebar.
Wait, sorry, what?
Remember the dream we were talking about before we jumped on? And it was
I
like
just didn't hear what you said. I didn't hear what you said.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like Harry Potter. Master has presented Dobby with a sock. And that's the name of that star. Sounds like Dobby from Harry Potter. The little house elf or whatever he is. The house
yeah. The house elf, yeah.
There's a bigger joke going on here in real time, folks.
Yes, there is.
That's funny. Definitely some astral fun stuff going on there. So that's a 9-degree voids, or 9 arc degrees between into Sag and the beginning of Capricorn, from January 14th to about the 23rd. Planets, or the sun, I don't want to say all the planets, but the sun transits the Sag Cap void. And that's where Pluto's hanging out right now. You can see him over there in the Sag Cap void. Been there for a while. We'll be there for a while longer. There's our man.
Yep.
And then significant fixed star alignments.
Oh, let me pull that up real quick.
Because we have a major stargate that comes through alignments as the sun or the planets travel along the ecliptic through Sag.
Oh, yeah.
Some fun ones. So the first one, Polaris Australis, which is our southern pole star.
Before we start, I asked about Al Nozzle. So I guess it depends on the context and also if it's with an S or a Z sound. But it can mean something is coming down. And it can also mean ethnicity.
I think that was the reference being made from the conversation with the person I was talking to. Gotcha. It was like the bloodline, and that does feel like a similar context, ethnicity. So something to look into there for sure. That's coming from an Arabic. It's an Arabic name, so that tells you anything. That's like a 2D Stargate reference, probably over in the Middle East, I'm gonna say. Okay, so Polaris Australis is our first fixed star alignment through Sag transits. Polaris Australis is in octans, which is way down at the bottom. Well, it depends on which hemisphere you're in, but for us in the northern hemisphere, it's down towards the bottom of a sky map in octans constellation, which I had to look up what octans was because somebody asked me a while back, and I was like, hey, I don't know what that is. And it's an octant. I'm like, well, that's not helpful. Until I realized, it's like another iteration of a sextant, which is a navigating device. And octant
you can see
some
the
kind of
degrees.
navigating device.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of, there's more to that story too. I was like, okay, rabbit hole. That's on December 23rd. So lead up to Christmas for those that celebrate Christmas. Or you could say lead up to the return of the days getting longer on the 25th. Return of the sun. Cos Australis alignment in Sagittarius. Cos Australis is actually in Sagittarius on December 26th.
Oh yeah, let me get these dates. All right.
There you go, Cos Australis. So the sun crosses that alignment on the 26th. That's a tough star. It's not in my top 5, but it definitely holds some distorted masculine coding that quite a few people I've read charts for are working on recoding that Stargate. The Wild Duck Cluster.
Woo!
Technically, yeah, I know. This one's been a dream symbol for both of us. The Wild Duck Cluster.
On the same night too, I think, right?
No, mine was several years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mine was several years ago. The most significant duck. And I've had a few other ducks. These were not Earth ducks. These were space ducks. And I'm like, space ducks? They were ornery space ducks. That's what I wrote in my dream journal. I was like, ornery space ducks. I wonder if there's some reference to ducks as a constellation or something in the sky. So I looked it up and there was a wild duck cluster. I'm like, that's it. It's the wild. I'm like, I don't know what we're recoding there, but it seems like a significant thing that multiple people are working on. So we put it on the chart.
It's also interesting that it's like right after the calendar new year as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's definitely some timeline stuff that comes through there. It's also part of the shield, and duck is nomenclature that you use literally to avoid something, right? If like someone throws something at you, you would
duck.
duck.
Yeah, duck. So it's technically between Scutum, the shield, and Aquila, the eagle. It's not technically in either one of them by alignment. Um, and it's just classified as M11 if you want to try and look it up on
Hmm.
a Sky app or online.
Interesting. The far M. There we
So
go.
that happens, yeah, on January 2nd. The sun makes an alignment with the wild duck cluster. So that's an interesting one to put on your radar. See what comes up. I need to go back and check my dream journal to see when that dream actually happened. I think it was in the middle of summer though. I don't think it
Hmm.
was during that alignment, but it would be interesting to go see. On the 4th of January, there is an alignment to Alpheca Meridiana in Corona Australis. The crown, the southern crown, looks like a crown of laurels there, which is interesting.
Hmm. It
So
definitely
that,
gives me like Six of Wands vibe, like homecoming energy.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because the very next day, on the 5th of January, the sun aligns with Vega and Lyra. So it definitely denotes people who have alignments here or on this side of Vega with their planets is like royal Lyran things.
Hmm.
Royal, it's kind of like spread out, but through alignment you can read it that way. And you're like, oh, okay. So I feel like that is a powerful the Alpheca Meridiana, the Southern Crown constellation is definitely it feels like a homecoming. You're right. It's like welcome home,
Hmm.
star being.
It's kind of
Because
like, Sag is that traveler, but needs a sense of home, whether that's like in the body or maybe even, um, you know, a specific location on Earth or maybe even like a car for some maybe. But like needs that sense of relief of not always being kind of on the go.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because that can be wearing on a person.
Yeah, it can
Just
destabilize your root.
yeah, yeah. Good point. And Vega specifically, like the alignment with Vega, that's a 10D Stargate. Like they're like Lyra in general, and especially Vega, such a powerful Stargate opposite Sirius on the other side of the chart. So when I call something a Stargate, it usually means that it has a star on the opposite side of the chart that is the other end of the portal. So yeah, the Lyra and well, I should say Vega Sirius are opposite on the chart as far as fixed star alignments go. So powerful, powerful Stargate. Lyrans are probably one of the most well-known groups that have incarnated on the planet to sort of donate genetic material to the DNA strands to help recalibrate Earth stargates. So this is a big deal constellation and fixed star. Vega is not known for the easiest energy either. Like there's a lot of war type stuff because like the stargates in Vega got destroyed. So that's part of why that group comes to assist Earth because the fractal of that destruction kind of echoed across the cosmos, kind of thing, fractally. So partially they're helping with the cleanup job, helping recode this solar system.
Hmm.
So it's a big deal. That's a big
Yeah,
deal.
I also get a lot about like the storytelling stuff coming through Lyra as well.
Yeah,
It
because it's
reminds me
kind
of
of
like the old timey,
yeah,
kind of like a bard, like traveling
yeah.
bard with the, whatever instrument they're playing and they're singing and telling a story and
That's it. That's
Mhm.
Sagittarius energy in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the story of Vega.
Oh, Alpha and
Oh, the
Omega.
woe. Yeah. They'll sing it with a delightful tune and you'll dance the whole time, that kind of thing. But
Do a little jig, help strengthen
dance a
your
little jig.
legs.
Yeah. So Lyra is also known as the vulture, not just the lyre. The
Mm,
instrument that you see is a lyre. Why it's called Lyra, I
interesting.
guess.
The
Mm-hmm.
vulture. That is so
Yeah.
interesting that so many avian codes come through Sag. But I guess that
Yeah.
because it
Yep.
is perception based, sometimes you literally have to see things from a higher perspective. And that
Yeah.
might even be a link through like the Scorpius Ophiuchus stuff in terms of like getting to those higher emanations of Scorpius.
Yeah. To move up through the
Mm-hmm.
dimensions, to be able to do the astral traveling, like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, to recalibrate your energy to be able to do that. Some people are just naturally really good at that. So,
Mm-hmm. And vulture codes are really good for uh also helping with scorpionic stuff, right? Because like
mhm.
vultures, they eat carrion and or carrion and help the natural decomposition process of the world.
Yeah, I always think of them as the avian cleanup crew.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, I hear that now. Like, okay. The dimensional, the astral travelers that are also part of the cleanup crew,
Mm-hmm.
helping clean up the mess, so to speak. So yeah, that is a very powerful. There's so much to talk about with Lyra and specifically with Vega that it's like that will just have to be a whole separate episode. But just know it happens on the 5th of January with that alignment. And a lot of people will also be in tandem having Sirian activations because the sun will be opposite Sirius. So lots of fun Stargate calibrating through that window. Let's see. On the 13th of January, this is not a major constellation, but it sure is a fun one.
Another
The sun,
avian one too.
and there's so many avian. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
there's toucans and cranes and eagles and all kinds of stuff over on this side. So the sun aligns with the fixed star Peacock in Pavo, which Pavo is a peacock. Um,
I
so
feel like
again,
this is where a lot of the grandstanding and
yeah,
the exaggeration comes from. The look at me,
yes,
I'm better than everybody else.
yeah,
I'm at the higher podium. I'm on a pedestal sort of thing.
that would definitely be a shadow aspect of Peacock. That is for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So that does come through a Sag alignment. It's one of the last major Sag alignments. So it's like save the best for last.
Yeah.
But also when you think of the peacock, they have the blue green feathers. They all
Oh
look like they
yeah.
have
It's
eyes
there's
on
a lot
them.
of
It's a
angelic
very
templates too with
yes.
uh-huh
Yes.
biblically accurate angel codes.
Yeah. The eyes kind of remind me of like how an Orphan would see in that 360-degree, like all the eyes in every direction, seeing everything. The peacock kind of reminds me of that kind of template.
Hmm. Also great
So the
sense
fact
of
that
fashion and
oh yeah,
style and
oh
able
yeah,
to present yourself very beautifully.
it's like if Sag and Libra had a baby. That's Peacock.
Yes. I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So there's a lot of power in that alignment. Not the most well-known constellation, but I feel like it's pretty significant. Actually, that looks like a decent sized star from
It
this.
is. Uh-huh.
You've got it highlighted, so I would have to look at it unhighlighted, but
Well,
I'm
even
not
if it's
sure what
not
magnitude.
highlighted, it looks
Does
the
it say
same.
what magnitude it is? Oh, it is pretty big star. It's a 1.91. That's pretty big. The closer to zero a magnitude is, the closer to huge. So that's pretty decent
Mm-hmm.
size. So that's Alpha Pavo. And it's interesting that it is his eyeball, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The
The eye of the
peacock that
peacock.
sees, yes. Yes, good times. Okay, so the next two alignments come through the Sag Cap Void. That's what that little SC void means on the chart, on the show notes. Albireo and Cygnus on the 21st of January through the Sag Cap Void. And Altair. And, you know, have to mention Altair is the major one. These two come on the same day, basically. They're close to being in the same alignment. The major star is going to be Altair because you can see the difference in magnitude. It's a very bright star.
Mm-hmm.
but they're basically in the same alignment. So the sun is going to activate both of those. So Cygnus is more, it's swan energy. It's more like time matrix guardians. Aquila is more like the astral traveler going, doing astral group work in the higher dimensions kind of thing, using your clairs, your upper clairs, activating them, that kind of thing. So the sun kind of activates both of those stars in one 24-hour period. And that's a big activation. And that happens on the 21st of January for both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main one in the Sag Cap Void. That's the one that not Saturn, Pluto's been hovering right around for the US Pluto return. And it's like, oh yeah, we getting ready to clean up some astral remote viewing stuff, and how the tech inserts, like Watcher's tech inserting into everyday life, that kind of stuff, with all your cameras everywhere all over.
Yeah, surveillance state.
Mm-hmm, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Pluto is doing a deep clean of that stuff. And of course, you have to understand with those avian things, it's like the template's held at a higher dimensional level, and we experience the trickle down effect. That's some of the major understanding to take away from that. And you've got to go address the higher octave issue and let the change trickle down too. So that's
definitely
important to note there.
And
of course, it depends. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, it just depends on what planet is making the alignment as to the vibe, the overtone of what's happening. Of course, we're talking about the sun, but different planets making these alignments will have different overtones of energy that they will be activating. So, yeah. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, if you want to learn more about the Altair stuff, check out our special topic episode on the US Pluto return, which is basically Altair Central.
Yeah, I think that's episode 14. Go check out episode 14. It's in the special there's a playlist, that special episode playlist. Go check that out there. Because yeah, it really was a huge download on all kinds of things. So yeah, that's kind of the major fixed star alignments. There's some big ones in there. I think the pole star is so significant. I don't quite understand the full capacity of the wild duck cluster, but I'm sure that will reveal itself over time. The Vega alignment, huge. Aquila, the Altair alignment in Aquila, huge. So there's some really big fixed star alignments that come through here. Right on. What else you got for us? You got any other thoughts on anything Sagittarian?
Probably endless. But I think let's address the questions, and I'm sure some of them will come up organically.
Okay, let's do that. Let's see. Question. Am I considered a Sag stellium with Neptune, Uranus, and rising in Sag?
Yes.
That's from Melody.
Yes. 3 or more placements are considered a stellium.
Even if it's not a planet?
I would say even if it's a calculated point, I would say yes. Okay. I would even include like Chiron and maybe
I would too.
Black Moon Lilith, honestly.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. I mean, your ascendant is so significant in a chart.
It really is.
I
would personally consider it a Sag stellium, but I could also understand if someone else would say no.
No, yeah.
Because some people might not want to use calculated points, but for me, I still would.
That's going to be so prominent in your whole life experience. So I can see how that would be true. And, your ascendant sort of delineates your chart ruler as well. So yeah, it makes Jupiter your chart ruler. And that is a powerful chart ruler.
Yes, that is fun.
That is fun.
Fun. Go win the lottery.
Go frolic and win the lottery and go buy a camper van or buy a first class plane ticket, whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
Sounds like fun. Okay, Junie Pepper, I'm curious about the Sag Gemini axis. What are the key points to understanding these energies? We kind of
Ooh,
covered that a little bit.
I
That was
a
when we
little
were talking
bit.
about, yeah, information versus
Mm-hmm.
big picture understanding of
Yeah.
things.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
I would also say, as I mentioned before, and we also talked about this in the Gemini episode, Gemini is like the divine wind of sort of like, oh, I'm really interested in this topic. I'm going to learn a bunch about it. Okay, now I'm kind of bored. On to the next thing. And that's why they're so good at trivia because they know a lot or they know a little bit about a lot of things, whereas Sagittarius is more specialized. So that's where, how I mentioned the PhD aspect. Gemini would be like, I have spent, 100 hours on maybe YouTube or something or Google, learning about, 57 different topics, and I can talk about all this sort of stuff. Whereas Sagittarius would be like, okay, I want to get sort of a PhD. They typically like to hone in on something, and that's part of being the archer with the bow and arrow is they're trying to hit a target. And the way that they hit a target is to make the bullseye bigger. So it's like you keep compounding your knowledge and information about a specific topic so that you have a big target that
You
you
just can't
are
miss.
sharing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And
You will see
Gemini
the
is
forest
like,
for the trees.
exactly. And Gemini is just more like, I'm just learning. I'm just learning a bunch of different things and sort of maybe putting some stuff together along the way, but it's more um the curiosity of Gemini versus the thirst for knowledge of Sag. It's like
Hmm.
Sag will gallop to go obtain it. Gemini will read and get information and will like bring it to them, right? And Sag will go to it.
And a lot of Geminis are activated through their clairvoyant third eye. So a lot of that information can be downloads and channelings. It's not only, it depends on how calibrated your upper clairs are with the Gemini side of the axis. Because it could be like audio booking things. It'll be like you pick something and you just learn all the nuts and bolts about it. It's literally Gemini is the trees, Sagittarius is the forest.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of have, Sag has more of a overview understanding of concepts, I guess is what I want to say.
Yes.
Like two
Mm-hmm.
great um people I can think of that reflect Sagittarius energy is like Joseph Campbell, who is like comparative mythology guy, fascinating, just fascinating guy. And how he just understands how all the mythologies and all the religions tie together and it's one story. That Sag is like, oh, I see the common thread here. And I can pull it all together and show you how all this is the same pattern. And then the other one would be Alan Watts. Love Alan Watts.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fascinating guy. I can listen to him all day. And just like another philosopher type person that just connects the dots across life. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And
And I
that's
feel like if you're dealing with the access, you're doing a metadata type thing. If you're dealing with Gemini and
mm-hmm.
Sag placements in both, it's like it's a little bit of the nuts and bolts, it's a little bit of the information. It's also like you're probably, what's the right word? You're doing data collection to, it's like one of those crazy string maps from the meme that's like he's got strings everywhere and he's like, it all
Oh
makes
yeah,
sense.
Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
that's Gemini and Sag. It's
Yeah,
like I see the
exactly.
pattern.
Uh-huh. And that's the thing is Gemini can ramble, right, from topic to topic to topic. Never a dull moment. Whereas Sagittarius's skill are more, giving a dissertation or writing a thesis or making a speech.
They're making it organized. Like they
Yes.
understand the
Mm-hmm.
thing and they're like, let me show you how all this fits together. And yeah, they will present it in a very holistic way
Yes.
where
And
it's
that's part of
very
the
easy to
storytelling
see the
too,
pattern. Yeah,
right? It's like the
exactly.
beginning, the middle, and the end. And that's also interesting
Exactly.
about Sag because it's a hybridized creature.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it has the beginning or the front, which is the humanoid, and then it has the equestrian back, and it's like where is the middle, right? It's like everything else is kind of the middle. Um,
Yeah, I
mhm.
wonder if it's connected to Chiron at all, like as far as being a
It
chart
is
ruler.
because
Like we haven't really talked
Chiron
about that.
Chiron was a centaur also.
Yeah,
So it does make there is definitely a
centaur
connection there. And
consciousness.
part of it is because a lot of healing takes you have to shift your perceptions about things. You can't
That's
keep
very
telling
true.
yourself the same story, right? It's like you change
Hmm.
your storytelling internally, and that is how your perception shifts. And that is like a huge, huge key
Yeah,
component of
and that's
healing.
where belief, any belief. This is my firm
Yes,
theory at this point. Like I don't call anything a belief anymore. I'm like, this is my current theory because the more I understand, my theory might change, and I don't want to stay stuck in a belief. Any belief can be limiting, so
exactly. And
allow it to be malleable.
exactly like bee leaf, you have to let it be a leaf, right? It's going to change with
That's
the
good.
seasons. Let it go through its cycles.
Yeah, allow it to change when a new understanding or new information comes to light, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the name of the game with Sag. Don't get stuck in the dogma. Don't get stuck in, oh, this is what I realized. And there's a little bit of ego in there. And they're like, and that's where they stay stuck at that level. Don't do that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you're here to keep evolving and seeing the higher octave of the thing. They can really go to some amazing synthesis levels. The Sagittarius energy can, like, it's just
Definitely.
incredible, incredible
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So that's a fascinating axis, especially
It
because
is.
there's the Vega Sirius Stargate there too. So it depends on how close, if you have planets in both, how close they are to that axis. So from a galactic lineage standpoint, like there's a potential to be working on those big recodes from those galactic lineages. And that does have a different level of understanding and will definitely show up in your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. Thank you for that question, Ginny Pepper.
Yes.
Good one. She has another question. Any insights in Sag Moon and its manifesting power?
Ooh, yes. Lots of, well, a key component would be to have abundance and luck integrated into the emotional body of truly feeling like you are abundant and lucky at all times. Then pretty much you can manifest anything. Definitely a super, super lucky moon to have. Uh, you also have to be optimistic through manifestation, but travel should be very easy. Success at academics, successful oration skills as well.
I think that's an interesting place for Moon because whatever's stuck in the emotional body is also going to affect that manifesting power. It's
That's
going to
true.
affect how lucky you feel.
That's
If
true.
you've
I
got
would
a
say
bunch of
pessimism
overlays,
you'd
yeah,
have to
if you've
get
got a
rid
bunch
of.
of
Yeah.
overlays, um, like maybe you incarnated into a bloodline that's experienced to a lot of trauma or something through multiple generations, like that is going to overlay basically your sort of overview of things. And with the power of Sag is to metamorphize through that, right? Use the
Mhm.
mutable power of that to move through those concepts. Like that's just a belief. That's not now. That's not really happening in my moment. And I have the power to make that change and take a different direction, right? So I think when you understand the Sagittarius energy, it is definitely, if you don't feel optimistic, it's kind of like you probably can fake it till you make it with Sag, but you will have to move through the emotional stuck stuff. But having a positive attitude or bringing the bigger understanding of what it is, that would be the key, I think, is like, where is this coming from?
Mhm.
If you don't feel the Jupiter luck and expansion and freewheeling, if you don't feel freewheeling, figure out where
Yeah.
it's coming from and then go, but I am that thing. I am freewheeling and I can recode that.
Are you saying freewheeling or free willing?
Freewheeling. Like,
Wheeling. Okay.
yeah, like I'm the
Uh-huh.
adventurer. I
Yeah.
have all this fiery passion to go, do my thing and be myself and go explore
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And it's like, if you don't feel that, you can almost fake it till you make it with Sag. But
Mm-hmm.
I think with Moon, you still will have to address, but I think it's part of the recode. I think that mutable fire can just burn through those Moon layers, honestly.
Yeah, I
So
would
it
agree
would
with
be
that.
like, for that kind of placement, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of laughter yoga. I
Oh
highly
yeah.
recommend laughter yoga for placements with Sag stuff, because you can promote the right state of consciousness, like the laughter, and it will literally percolate up the stuck stuff, and you'll just have the emotional release. And it might be weird, but you just roll with it, and then it's cleared out of your system. So I feel like you can really work it that way with Sag placements, or anything that's fun, like
Yeah. There's actually
dancing, belly
there's a
dancing, all that kind of
oh
fun
yeah,
stuff.
that is a great one. There's an
Mm-hmm.
account that I want to plug here that is really great for laugh therapy. I believe the account's called Holistically Hilarious, and she does it's healing through comedy, and her content is great. She is so funny. I'll try to find her content and post it in the uh True Sky Cruise stories on Instagram within the next couple days here. But I highly recommend her stuff. It's great.
Yeah, agreed. I think laughter yoga, any kind of fun, like just making sure with Sag that if you're not having a good time, you go take yourself somewhere at some point where you are having a good time, to
Yeah.
just remind yourself that, like, I got this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
doing this mutable fire thing, I'm a pro at this, right? That's why I came here with the Moon here, because I can just turn this into magic, baby.
Exactly. And to remember that you're the one turning the wheels, you're the one at the driver's wheel, because
Mm-hmm.
some shadow aspects of this moon can be the perception of not having freedom, of feeling restricted, feeling like you can't move. And again, those are all just be lies, right? Of beliefs, like it's a lie. Um, and so you want to make sure that you really embody freedom, including emotional freedom, right? You do not have to constantly be feeling negative emotions, right? You can very easily do the transmutation work to get your emotional body clear. And that's definitely part of making sure that any pessimism gets burnt up, or any sort of downtrodden
Mm-hmm.
ideologies, or any belief in dystopian timelines that are must be mandatory in your life or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really powerful place for Moon to be. I mean, I think
Hmm.
you do have to kind of watch out for some of the low vibe Moon stuff. Like
Hmm.
you said, pessimism, like feeling down all the time, feeling like you can't reframe your reality. I mean, that's Moon, and emotions is definitely, it affects manifesting power, period. The
Yes.
emotional body is where there's a lot of distortions in the emotional body that literally manifests from there. Things manifest from emotions. So Sag Moon is like, I can turn the corner on that. I ask to understand the big picture. That's going to help a lot too. And then go boogie, go turn on some music and dance it
Boogie
out.
woogie. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Exactly.
go for a nice walk. I think with Sag,
Hmm.
hiking, being out in nature, just moving the legs is going to
Hmm.
help a lot too. Is like, it'll help move stuff out of your body. This is true for anybody, but I feel especially true for Sag.
Absolutely.
Let's see. We've got so many good questions this episode.
Hmm.
Question: can the shadow aspect manifest as anger for people that don't know or do what they would? Don't know what that last part means. Or don't know or do what they would. The shadow aspect of Sag manifests as anger. Oh, definitely. Like people that are just on an
That's
unconscious
that liver.
Sag level.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the liver stuff for sure. It could be resentment too. Like, why is that person getting ahead? Why do they know more than me? Why are they better than me? How are they moving
Hmm.
ahead in life and I'm not? it can, you know, for a disempowered Sag,
Mhm.
it can be that.
It
And then
can
they kind of
also
turn in
be
manipulative.
it
Hmm.
can also be like people don't understand me,
Hmm.
or they don't get it. They're not understanding this correctly, right? Trying to control someone else's perception
Hmm.
of something, of an account, of, like a historical account, an experience, a concept that can also manifest as anger. And that's part of the necessity of having that optimistic and jovial outlook that Sag has of like, hey man, everyone, perception creates reality. And if other people want to perceive something other than that, then that's fine. But I'm responsible for my own reality. And therefore, I'm going to think this, believe this, perceive this,
Hmm.
have this ideology at this time until I find a better one.
Until I don't. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I find something better that gets me to the next thing that I want to get to.
Yeah. And as far as the anger or like an emotional connection, like that can flip like a switch. Like the anger can be on and then they've done it and then it's off. And they're
Hmm.
like, I'm really
It's
sorry.
it's like shooting an arrow,
Yeah.
right? It's like you let go of it, like you can't put that arrow back once you sling it,
That's
right?
right. That's right. So it can be very kind of, it can feel erratic like whiplash, like she's
Hmm.
mad, she's happy, she's mad. I don't know what's going on here. They can change their mind like the wind, but it's that fire, it's that mutable fire that they can be quick to have a reaction. And I mean that could be happiness, that could be extreme like happiness, it could be extreme anger, but it's usually it happens on a dime kind of thing. So and they're, you know, if it's something like anger, then they can be like, oh yeah, I didn't really mean that, and it's like too late.
Yeah,
You did it.
exactly.
So that
Yep,
can be something to
impulse.
watch
That's
out
another thing
for.
that we didn't
Impulse
mention is
control.
like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
impulse control is definitely a Sag thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you have to, you're trying to hit a target, so there is a certain amount of time that you're taking to point that arrow. So if you're gonna shoot it, you better be sure where it's going.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. What makes the cap sag shift so difficult for some people? Jeannie Pepper, is that in relation to like from tropical
Avoid.
to true sky, or are you talking about the sag cap void? If you're still here.
For me, if it's like the tropical transition, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's difficult at all. I think it's the easiest and most fun shift that you could ever make. God, when I thought I had a Capricorn stellium, wow, my life was dark and full of so much work and just like heavy pressure and karmic blah blah. And now that I have a Sagittarius stellium, I'm like, party all the time. This is
Yeah,
fun. Let's do this sort of thing. Um,
that's great. You were ready to
uh-huh.
make the leap. I think,
I was, yeah.
like, if she is referring from going from tropical to true sky, from cap to sag, I think maybe some people are just in that cap algorithm and they think work is the thing to do. It's like they
Hmm.
don't know how to get out of work mode. Maybe it almost feels like they don't know how to embrace joy, which really Sagittarius is a very joyful sign. So it's like if you have an issue moving into joy, that would be the only holdback. Otherwise, it would be like, hey, this is great. I think it would be an
Exactly.
easy shift too, honestly.
Yeah, because there's also that aspect of Capricorn of like, I have to work hard for this thing, whereas Sag is just like, yeah, things are going to work out and I'm going to get it. How do I know?
It's
Because
just
I
going to
know
show
I'm
up.
abundant and
Mm-hmm.
lucky, and that's just how it
Yeah.
is. Um,
Not unless you, when you make the true sky shift, unless you have some other planet or placement in Capricorn that might be coloring
hmm
what you're picking up on. So that's also important to note if something else shifted into Cap in true sky as something else shifted
hmm
out. Because it's like me, like my sun and Venus were in Scorpio and tropical, it shifted to Libra, but it also shifted my North Node and Neptune to Scorpio.
hmm
So there's still a fair amount of Scorpio energy. It
hmm
just was different placements bringing the energy through. So let's see if I don't see her reply to the question. So we'll just leave it at it's going from tropical Capricorn to true sky Sag. And then last question that I see. So a Sag South Node would be facing many experiences and the North Node sharing the wisdom received, question mark.
I'm not sure I totally understand that.
I guess it would be like, just how would you describe a Sag South Node versus a Sag North Node? That would be
Oh,
the
Sag
easiest
South
way.
Node versus Sag North Node.
Mm-hmm.
Sag South Node,
Oh
I would
no,
say,
Sag South Node, and I guess the North Node,
which would
maybe that's a Gemini.
probably be Gemini, but not
Yeah,
necessarily.
not necessarily, but
But assuming that it would basically be, it's really easy to focus South Node and Sag. It's easy to focus on sort of the like one thing, right? Like broadening your knowledge about a specific topic. It may be harder to um sort of put things down and decide to learn something new. There may be kind of like an over dedication to a certain ideology or a particular topic. So, for example, I would say, let's say you have a Sag South node and you're super good at math and you decide to get a PhD in mathematics with a specific equation, that you just know so much about and things like that. But it might be difficult to be like, oh, well, there's also some like, ancient history that may have be interesting. Maybe they use that. Well, I guess if they use that math, then Sag would know about it. But just a completely different topic where Sag would be like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about what I'm writing my thesis on 24/7. Kind of like tunnel vision almost. Um, and it would be like North Node energy would be like, okay, North Node Gemini, like get time to learn something new.
mm-hmm.
Time to stop being so focused on one particular thing.
Mm-hmm. Sag South Node, and I guess Gemini North Node. Hmm. Yeah, it feels like there's probably a lot of wisdom. The way I'm reading is like the South Node is past life things. There's a lot of wisdom that can be recovered from past lives. I'm trying to think of a low vibe thing that you might have
Like
to work
maybe you were
through.
in like a cult in a past life
That
or
could be a
something like
low
that.
vibe thing to
Uh-huh.
recalibrate through. Like maybe, yeah, there could be some limiting beliefs, belief systems to work through from a past life. But it also, just in general, like as a South Node thing, Jupiter is just usually not that hard of a thing to work with. It feels like it wants to expand things on that South Node side. Like
Yeah.
remember all these things
Mm-hmm.
that you've done, and you've already made these huge dot connecting things. And then the North Node in Gemini is probably like go over, depends on where in Gemini specifically. I think she did say, oh, that was to a different question. I'm assuming it's in Gemini. Probably go activate the higher octave of Gemini, like clairvoyant things. But it does speak to, like, I feel like a lot of Gemini energy speaks to priestess energy too. So go activate that priestess.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I would also say Sagittarius energy is kind of about like balancing your chakra system, like up and down, whereas like Gemini is balancing your masculine feminine energy and bilateral symmetry.
oh, that's an interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting point. Hmm. Yeah, it does feel like a Sag Gemini North South node feels like there's a whole lot of things coming together. Up and
Mm-hmm.
out, sis. Up
Definitely.
and out. It's
Exactly.
almost like remember you already know how to do this high octave Sag stuff. Remember you already know how to astral travel. Go activate your clairvoyance and lift off. Go balance those right and left hemispheres of the brain. There could, if the North nodes in Gemini, it could be like there might be some information that you need to learn to remember how to see the big
Yes.
picture. Like you might
Mm-hmm.
need some nuts and bolts to jog your memory, kind of thing. But fascinating placement. I love that placement.
Definitely.
It
And I
feels
would
like it
say,
should be easy to work with.
yeah, I would say South Node and Sag probably has more gifts than Gunk.
Yeah,
Like it should be
absolutely.
very easy and it should also be like fun to move through that South Node stuff.
Yeah. Take some courses on moving your energy through fun, playful things. Like I took
Mm-hmm.
one course that was like, we're going to use hula hoops to move energy and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
clear your chakras. And like she made all these breath work routines and you used hula hoops and did kriyas and did breath work. And it was fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
It's called dancing with the light. Go dance with the light
Love that.
to help do that fun stuff like that. The more fun you have with it, the easier it will be to go over to the North Node stuff because like you gotta remember it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. American Copper Dragon Chile says, note to self, laughter yoga. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
1000% laughter yoga. It will release so many endorphins and it will just help your brain rewire itself. It's amazing. It helps your whole body rewire itself. It
Mm-hmm.
feels really weird at first because it's a fake it till you make it thing, but you will have an emotional release eventually, and then you'll really just be belly laughing, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, okay, that worked."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Jeannie Pepper said for that cap to Sag thing was tropical to true sky. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so cool.
Awesome.
Fabulous. She says, sorry, it's weird to write in all caps.
Well, we're writing in all
and she wrote it
Sag
and she
today.
wrote it in all caps.
And you know, Sagittarius is also known for being very boisterous and loud. So I think
Yeah.
the all caps is perfect for
It's
Sag.
perfect. Yeah. Perfect
Yell
introduction.
it loud and proud.
Yes, ma'am. Good times. Well, you guys, I'm so happy. We've still got 6 people in the chat. That's amazing. You guys are just so wonderful. I love all the interaction in our chats, both our Instagram chats and our live stream chats. Great questions today, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anything else you want to add for Sagittarius episode?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of great things and kind of what we said before we started the episode. If you want to learn more about Sagittarius, go have some experiences, go travel, go get learnt.
Go get learnt, go do some
Go
things,
get learnt.
go flip a coin and, pick a direction and start heading that way. Like
Yep.
the path will reveal itself as you start on the path. That's literally Sag.
Yes, exactly.
So have fun with it. That's the most important thing. Expansion can be fun.
Yes.
That kind of stuff. So good times. Okay, well, I think we are going to wrap it up for today if that feels like everything. Hi, Carla.
Yep.
Carla, jumping on. How are you, sister? We're just wrapping up. Love you. Junie Pepper says, yelling in all caps, never get in a cult.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Yes. Don't do that or found one. Either way. All right, guys. Well, thanks to everybody that joined us live and on the replay. We sure do appreciate you guys in the live chat having fun. We are the True Sky Crew, and we can be found on YouTube and Instagram at the True Sky Crew. I'm Janine, and you can find me on Instagram at Inner Sky Alchemy. Currently, my books are closed, and I am in a full blast going forward on the daily planner to get that done for the rest of the year. So books are closed for now, and I'll let you guys know if and when they open up. How about you, Sachi?
I can be found at Sachi the Seer on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or X, and on my website at sachitheseer.com, which is also where you can get all the True Sky goodies. And my books are currently open, but I'm making a note to myself that I'm going to be closing them within the next couple days because I've gotten so many bookings and I just have too much going on. And so I need to remember to also prioritize my rest and things like that. So yeah.
I think it's going to be important for the next couple months to really balance out the resting aspect because once we we've had some aha moments doing the June, July daily planner that when we get to those transit episodes, you guys, it's going to be some eye opening stuff. So,
Oh yeah.
once we get into July for real, June is kind of the preface with the Orion stuff, clearing radial things to the lunar cycle. And then that's just the preamble to doing the work in July. So stay tuned for that. We will be, our next episode will be on June 20th from Serpent Mound in Ohio. We are going to be podcasting together in the same room. It is going to be amazing.
Yes, we're
And
meeting each other in person for the first time.
We're going to be blowing the airwaves up with some good juju. And for anybody that joins us, we'll be also podcasting with us for a special June solstice episode. And then the following week, we will be having the July transit episode. So there will be 3 episodes in June. Stay tuned for those. And until the next episode on the 20th from Serpent Mound, keep your feet on the ground and your eyes on the sky, because the true sky don't lie. Woo. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night or day.